And we're back with another Serious Sam. We're talking about Serious Sam's second encounter. And from chainsawing up enemies, secrets littering every level like snowmen shooting you with bazookas, this game is oozing with charm. This game is just on the next level. Every moment you're in this game, not only is this a better the way these games work are weird. So Serious Sam First Encounter came out on the PC. Then later they tied in Serious Sam Second Encounter, I think it was within a year of each other, so that they could be considered one game. And that's why Serious Sam 2 and 3 are called 2 and 3. Now, I know Serious Sam 2 isn't technically considered canon. That is a weird place that I don't understand all of it. I know that they were in fights with their publishing company at the time, the developer of these games. So I know it's a weird place. But this game feels like a complete sequel to the first one, which I'm going to consider this second encounter the second game. And everything about it is newer enemies, not really new mechanics, same mechanics, but new weapons, platforming sections. It just takes everything that the first game did right and adds upon it. Because, the first game was fun, don't get me wrong, but it got really almost repetitive by the end. It was, yes, the chaos was never stopped being fun, but I think it was just the sitting in the same biome over and over and over again, which you're in Egypt, the entire first encounter game. And this game kicks off, you're on the spaceship that you're on at the end of first encounter, and these little aliens riding these little carts with all the developers' faces on them hit the spaceship. You crash into a new pyramid thing, and Sam's like, "Oh no, more pyramids!" But it's like the Mayan pyramids, and so the first aspect of the game, you're running around Mayan pyramids, and then each section is a completely different biome. You are in a India type area, which is kind of reminiscent of Serious Sam 1, which I was kind of like, I don't know, man. But that part was probably my least favorite section. It felt really, really bloated. That part was you could tell they had the idea, but they didn't really flush out the enemies in the Indian part. And so a lot of times you get to a section, it's like, oh, go through this door, get a thing. Go through this door, get a thing. Open door. Go through this thing, get a thing. Go through this thing, get a thing. Open door. And I got to the point where I was so sick of that. It was incredibly irritating, especially when the first segment of the game really doesn't have it that much, and then the later segments of the game don't have it at all. My favorite segments were some of the platforming stuff in this game. As bad as I was at it, because this game is old and janky, it really, really works. It's fun. The puzzles are really interesting. It breaks up some of the combat, because the first game is combat, and I love combat, but if there's something that shooters have come to realize since the 90s, is that you need to add stuff in between the combat, or else you get just burnt out. You will burn yourself out on the game, which Doom really understood. Shadow Warrior really understands that you have to have some stuff in between the action, whether it be story, platforming, or a puzzle, whatever it may be. You need to break up that monotony, and this game does a really, really great job of that. It adds in all sorts of different stuff. A lot of the gripes I had of the first game were cleared up in this game. Like, Sam doesn't say a whole lot in the first game, and he's not talking your ear off in this game, but he does chirp up a little bit more, which makes it a little bit more interesting. And all the secrets really add to the charm of this game. It felt like everything that they could have done to put love into this game, they were like, we got to run away hit. All right, let's have fun and make this game hit. Now, this game isn't without its gripes, because every new section you come to in this game, they take away your guns, which I understand for the gameplay loop. You want to rebuild your arsenal, but it gets a little annoying after the fourth time they do it. It's like, is this... I don't know, man. It's almost like they take your weapons away so that you're stripped down to nothing, and you restart the game almost, but it's with more enemies, and it's coming at you harder, and you don't have... I don't know. I felt like keeping your enemies till the end keeping your weapons till the end in the first game and just ramping up the chaos was way better than this. Taking your weapons away and not overwhelming you with enemies. It felt like it kind of took away at times from some of the fun Not that there isn't fun to be had. It's a very minor gripe, but it's a gripe that needs to be made, nevertheless. As well, I do have to say the boss fights there are much less boss fights in this Serious Sam game than Serious Sam First Encounter, but the boss fights in this game are much better. They don't ever feel incredibly grindy. They all feel like they have a purpose. They're not gimmicky per se. There is one boss fight. I won't get into spoilers on that, but he has kind of a gimmicky mechanic where you have to blow things up and then go after him. But you can still deal damage to him without blowing those things up. Because that is something I hate in games where you can't do any damage to the guy without blowing the thing up. And you're like, well, this sucks because I'm just running around blowing things up instead of actually fighting the enemy. Spider-Man. Just kidding. Spider-Man is not really like that, but it kind of is like that. It's get that gimmick, do the gimmick so you can proceed the boss fight. I don't like that. I like to be able to almost do the boss fight in my own way. Which I almost beat the boss fight in this section in one go, but I didn't know about the little gimmick, and he does get some health because if you don't get those things, but you could have beat him without it. It is possible. So knowing that there's multiple ways to approach a situation is kind of what this game is about, and I really appreciate that. Now, the last boss fight was a little bit underwhelming comparatively to the one in the middle with the little gimmick thing because it just felt different. I don't know what about it felt different, but it was great. It was still better than the fighting the big guy at the end of Serious Sam 1 because that fight felt incredibly spongy. Even though it was a giant spectacle, even though it looked absolutely amazing, it felt grindy. And I have to say that, like, even the last boss in this game, as much as it didn't feel as cool as the mid-boss, it was still better. It was still great. There was something about it that I didn't like quite as much. I think it was, like, the look of the first main big boss in this game just looked mean and creepy, and this other one just, I don't know. As for the new weapons, the chainsaw smacked. I mean, they added in some other stuff, but the chainsaw was like the flamethrower, which flamethrower in a game being good completely baffled me. That is something I didn't see coming, and I'm really happy that it was a good flamethrower. It's rare you find a flamethrower in a game that's good. I think I can count on one hand how many games actually did the flamethrower right and didn't make it feel like a weapon you just threw away because it was just a nuisance. So this game did have a really good flamethrower, and I really enjoyed its addition to the game. One game in particular I'm thinking of right now is Shadow Warrior. I don't like the flamethrower in Shadow Warrior, and it sucked because it's a later weapon you get in the game, and it's completely useless. And so I see the flamethrower in this game as a completely useful item that I want to proceed and use. And the different biomes, like I said, is just absolutely fantastic in this game. So if you get a chance, go play Serious Sam the First Encounter, and then definitely pick up the second encounter as well. I mean, you can get the Serious Sam collection, which comes with first, second encounter, the DLC, which I'm currently playing through. Not a fan. And then you got Serious Sam 3 and its DLC. You have to get 4 and Siberian Mayhem by themselves. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for coming in and watching. This was a really fun game. I hope you guys play it. Leave a comment, leave a like, and subscribe, you goddamn idiots.